very good afternoon to you and welcome. This is Ochieng 2017. And today I'm joined by, well, he's one brave politician, I must say. I'll get to that, why I'm saying that. He's a lawyer. And of course, he was the NASA Senatorial candidate in Nairobi County. None other than Edwin Sifuna. Mheshimiwa.
Asante Bagi, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, karibu. And we are very, very, very grateful.
Asante.
Before we get into the thick of things,
yes.
The other day in Kibra,
yes,
there are some statements you made. What did you mean?
I mean, Bagi, I thought wewe ni mtu ya mtaa. You understand what we were saying? We were saying that we will meet and deal with Uhuru Kenyatta at his level. You know, I have a young kid in the house.
Yes.
And when you want to talk to that kid, you must go to the level of the kid.
You must come down to him.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is easier for you to communicate to somebody when you are on the same level. So if you find him low, you go low. If you find him high, you go high. And then you'll have a conversation.
So in this
case,
case,
what we are saying is at the time where Uhuru is ready to act presidential, to show respect that comes and attaches to that office, to show respect for the public, the people,
yes.
Then we will do the same. But if it is madness he wants to bring to the table, he will be met with madness, because that's the only way that you can communicate.
So, ulisema wakiwasha, tunawasha.
Yeah, whatever it is that they do, we will do in equal measure. Because you see, some of these people imagine that the things that they do are only available to them. I mean, it is not, I heard him yesterday saying he is human and he can also get annoyed. We have been annoyed for the past 5 years that he has been the president of this republic. You don't see us going around throwing tantrums like little kids at everybody. Yeah, if the people of this republic who have suffered under the regime of Jubilee, corruption, extrajudicial killings, ask the family of people like Msando and Jacob Juma. Right. How angry are those people?
And who are they supposed to
yes,
out there?
Which market are they supposed to go to? And who are they supposed to insult to vent that anger? Because they are also human.
Does it say something about levels of self-control?
Exactly, because that's why we are saying this is not somebody who is in control of himself. He should not even be responsible for anything, let alone a country. Because you see, when you occupy such a position of trust, a serious position of leadership, where you are in a position to make far-reaching and decisions that have implications on millions of people, then you need to have somebody in office who's sober. Yes, and that's all we are saying. I mean, you know, when he chooses to be sober, he will meet with sober people and we will discuss the issues that affect us as a country and we will move the way forward. But for as long as we are acting like we are inebriated, we can all do that.
Well, perhaps you may need to break it down. Inebriated is supposed to mean for the common man.
Inebriation is being under the influence. Ni kulewa. Ukikaa kama mlevi, sisi wote tutakaa kama walevi. But if you want to have a sober discussion, the way you and me are having a sober discussion, we also have capacity to do that.
I mean, in Madare, you said banging mbaya. Why does it appear that there's a specific thing that, I mean, what do you know that we don't?
Baggy, you know the problem with you people is that you like to skirt around issues. I told you when I was here that we have all seen people who are sober and we have all seen drunkards. Everybody knows a drunkard from where they come from. So there are telltale signs of somebody who's not sober or who is not themselves, as we say in the Mutua. Number one, if you find somebody talking with a slurred speech, he has no control of his limbs, he's talking things that don't make any sense, he has no respect to the people that is. And, you know, those are the telltale signs of somebody who's not sober. So why are you afraid to say that the person that we saw at Bama Market was not sober?
No, I'm not precisely an expert. I don't work with alcohol. I have
but,
no scientific way of saying.
You have seen a drunkard. In your lifetime, Baggy, you have seen somebody who's drunk.
Yes, I can know
you
symptoms
can tell.
of drunkenness.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is all that we are saying.
Well, let's get into the thick of things.
Yes.
While you're at it, Maraga.
Yes.
Yesterday, while meeting leaders from Kisii in Nakuru, well, it's a bit curious why the meeting perhaps will not take place in Kisii. But that's besides the point.
Yes.
Uhuru did mention that he has a problem with Maraga and he referred to him as Huyo Mzee.
Yes.
This morning, Nyeri Town MP, Kunjiri Wambogo, presents a petition to JSC to remove Maraga from office.
Yes.
And there is a letter going round.
Yes.
I don't know how authentic it is, but let me just read it quickly. It's not too long. It is the letterhead is supposedly from Jubilee.
Yes.
Dear honorables, reference removal of Chief Justice David Maraga. I refer to the agreement between you and His Excellency on the subject matter mentioned above. As you are aware, this morning, Nyeri Town MP, Honorable Kunjiri Wambogo, under our instructions, has instituted the process of the removal of Chief Justice, Mr. David Maraga, through the Judicial Service Commission. This letter is therefore to urge you to return to your constituencies and ensure our agenda is implemented. In particular, you are required to hold public rallies to urge your people to see it that the Chief Justice loses face. We have arranged a number of vernacular radio stations, and you are supposed to have daily guests, and it goes on and on. And there are people who are, it says, that are responsible. We have names like Matiangi being floated, Obure, and others. I don't know. Have you seen it? Is it authentic? Is it something we can go by?
I have heard about that letter from you for the first time, but I can tell you this for a fact. You don't even need this letter to understand that Nkunjiri's petition is actually motivated by none other than the president himself. And you don't need...
Why would you say that?
You don't need any other proof than this, other than the statements that the president has made publicly from the time when the Supreme Court decision was made. He has made it very clear on more than one occasion that he has a problem with the Supreme Court, that he has a problem with the judges, that he has a problem with Maraga specifically. He has called him names, he has insulted him. He called him and the judges of the court Wakora in Bama Market. And he has made it clear that they will not let that decision that was made by the Supreme Court go, but that they will revisit it. And, you know, somebody like...
revisiting?
Exactly. Somebody like Nkunjiri Wambogo, first of all, does not have the wherewithal to prepare or present such a petition. Okay. I can tell you that he's...
allow me to interrupt you again. Wherewithal, I mean...
This is, what I am saying is that this is not Nkunjiri Wambogo's doing. Okay. This is somebody who is a puppet. He's just the face of the petition, but we know that this is at the instigation of the highest level of power in Jubilee, and the president himself has made it clear. Number two, having read that petition myself as a lawyer, I know that it is presented only for nuisance value. That is not a petition that can succeed anywhere, because I know what it takes for you to remove a judge from office, and more so the Chief Justice. I know that there are very sober men and women of the law in the Judicial Service Commission who will trash this thing immediately it lands on their desk. In fact, it shouldn't even get to the commissioners. This is something that you know, the Registrar of the Judicial Service Commission should dismiss on her own motion, because it has absolutely no substance. If you look at the provisions of Article 168 on what constitutes, you know, grounds for removal of a Chief Justice. What I have read in that petition is just the blubberings of somebody who's laboring under some very, very serious, you know.
You're saying the blubberings of a person who's laboring under
there's a very, very serious chemical that is under. Because that is not a petition for the removal of a Chief Justice.
We'll get back to that. Let me just go through a few comments. Eunice Mwakio says, wa Sifuna, wakisokota, tunasokota.
Ndio hiyo.
I mean, you're influencing people now.
No, it's me telling them that I think I've explained myself very well, that we will meet them at the level we find them on a day-to-day basis.
Markela Sokej, Jubilee buying IDs in Homa Bay. Well, I don't know the truth about that. Brevenson Mkenya, Sifuna, you made my day.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Well, we'll go through, I mean, so many comments coming through, but if somebody was to file a genuine petition, as you put it, what will be the process of removing a Chief Justice from office? Well,
the process is you lodge a petition with the Judicial Service Commission, and if the Judicial Service Commission find that there is actually merit, based on the grounds that are set out in Article 168 of gross misconduct, incompetence, or incapacity due to whatever reason, then maybe they will make a recommendation to the president to constitute...
The JSC makes a
recommendation to the president to constitute a a team or a commission of inquiry into those allegations.
Yes.
So we have seen such committees or commissions formed, for instance, on Justice Tunoi,
Yes.
and they investigate the allegations so that the truth is found. And that commission can actually make a binding recommendation on the president that they have actually found grounds that warrant the removal of a judge, or that they did not find the grounds. But for the Chief Justice, we require a very serious panel to do the inquiry, and that is why the Constitution requires that you get judges from outside the country, 3 eminent judges of a superior court from other jurisdiction who practice the common law in the Commonwealth. And that committee is chaired by the Speaker, of course, who is also the Speaker of the National Assembly is a member, and a lawyer or an advocate of 15 years standing. It's about 7 members, a 7-member committee to be able to investigate the Chief Justice. But remember, whatever recommendation that committee makes, the Chief Justice can appeal that recommendation to the Supreme Court. So you will essentially be asking Maraga to appeal to the Supreme Court, where he is the chair, the president of the Supreme Court.
Wow.
And I am aware that because these allegations emanate from the decision regarding the presidential petition, in which the court was split 4-2, you can always guarantee that the members of the court will find absolute nonsense in the petition by Ngunjiri Wambugu.
Honorable Ipomai B. Modi, kuna kifaranga imekalia kiti chetu cha Senate. I don't know which one. Steve Mwakalama, watching from Turkey. Keep the fire burning. Sifuna, dawa ya moto.
Ni moto.
Well, Sifuna, I didn't know so many people watched that clip. But getting back to this whole Maraga issue,
yes,
is this a vendetta? Is this a bind? Because I saw Ngunjiri saying that Maraga exerted undue influence on other judges who wanted to make other decisions.
You know,
I mean, I'm just
when I read that,
first of all,
it is an insult to those judges of the Supreme Court to claim that somebody like Maraga or a fellow judge would exercise undue influence on them. These are people who are very high caliber judges who have been on these benches. They have exemplified themselves in service to the country. They have practiced law for years. Somebody like Justice Lenaola is an exemplary judge. I mean, he has been quoted extensively. His decisions have been quoted extensively by other courts, including in foreign jurisdictions. So for you to imagine that Maraga would exercise undue influence on these judges, it's to make nonsense of the independence of a judge. You know, we have the independence of the judiciary, the independence of a court, and the independence of a judge. So
is this designed to intimidate the other judges? Because there are other petitions pending.
Absolutely.
Governors, senators, MPs, even MCAs. I mean, is this supposed to...
You know what?
And the timing.
What I make of it...
Court is supposed to issue their
what I make of it, Baggy, and I can tell you for a fact that Ngunjiri Wambugu's petition, this Jubilee petition, will not intimidate any judge. Because I know the men and women who sit in our courts, they're not going to be intimidated by such a thing. I think what these people are trying to do is to draw a relationship between the judges of the courts and the opposition and the civil society groups which they want to demonize. I am sure they want to scare those civil society groups that actually support judiciary initiatives through financial assistance so that the money can dry up. They know that the best way to hurt the judiciary is actually to go after their money. Yes. And you saw even last year, using the same tyranny of numbers, they actually slashed the judiciary budget by 1 billion shillings just because they did not agree with them. So I think for me, the real target of that petition is the civil society groups that actually support the judiciary initiatives through donor assistance.
Wow. You know, I mean, one time it's Odunga, now it's Maraga, the media. I mean, there just seems to be somebody who is gone berserk, who's out of control. And you see, if the courts are the last line of defense, what happens if the courts give in?
You know, you and me, Baggy, are not children of privilege. We were born not with a golden spoon in our mouths. We are used to things not going our way. We are used to people saying no to us. We are used to our will being denied. But you understand that some of these people were born and were surrounded by yes people and yes men throughout their lives. So I believe that somebody like Uhuru Kenyatta, because he's a child of privilege, he cannot understand how he is the president of a republic and somebody can say no to him because he has not comprehended that
I thought
he exists
it was all over
in a
that.
constitutional realm that actually limits his power and grants some of the powers to other institutions.
It was all over that people should go to court if they
Absolutely.
agreed. Now people went to
Absolutely.
court,
Absolutely.
and all of a sudden the courts are now bad.
He doesn't understand. I mean, if you listen to him speaking, he doesn't understand how he's the president and somebody can deny him something. He doesn't understand. That is why you can see this tantrum. It's like when you take a toy from a kid, and he himself said it, that alipokonywa kitu ambaye ilikuwa ya dhamana kwake. He needs to understand that the presidency is not his. It belongs to the people of the republic and it is subject to our laws and our constitution.
Wow. Before we go to the next area of discussion, Munala Harrison, is there a number one can call in? I need to report something fishy. Maybe it will help. Hashtag Canon is real. Munala, you can always just put it in writing and send it on the page if it's truly fishy. And Agent Joan Ondisa, Jubilee are trying to show clear picture that they did not win elections. Wow. Esmely tipsy. Well, I don't know if that's... Uhuru is very, very angry for nothing. 2013, he was very happy. And we, NASA, accepted and moved on. Now, on to other things. IEBC.
Yes.
They had a meeting today with the observers. I saw Ambassador Godek there at the Intercontinental Hotel. There is also a document going around, recommendations for the rerun based on the findings since 18th August election day. This is by the European Union Election Observer Mission,
Yes.
Republic of Kenya. I mean, they have a raft of changes that I'm seeing here. But even before we get into the gist of this, do you think IEBC is ready to do this election on the 17th?
I don't think that the IEBC is ready to conduct any credible elections in this country. As presently constituted, and I am happy that our principals finally saw that point, that there is absolutely nothing that is going to change if we retain the same team that conducted the August 8th elections to conduct the elections on the 17th, and decided that there is no point of having elections on the 17th. These are the same crooks who stole the victory of the people of this republic. They are the ones who actually attempted to establish a government outside a constitutional order by trying to impose a leader on the people who they had not, voted for or elected. So we cannot go into an election with them. I mean,
Chiloba was on some station yesterday, and I mean, in a rather casual fashion.
Yeah.
He made it look like there's no big deal. He actually was asked. Some players have said that they are not going to elections.
Absolutely.
When you're at the helm, and he said it's not the first time such a thing has been said.
Yeah, but every time that it was said, those people actually left. Because you see, what these people do is underestimate the will and the resolve of the people every time. Because when we said that Hassan and his team could not oversee the 2017 election, that is exactly the same attitude we received from them. And we have seen people like Chiloba before. I mean, what we know is that we have the will, we have the strength, we have the ability, we have the experience to be able to ensure that we get free and fair elections in this country. And we will not die.
So Kenyans are asking, will
there
be an election?
That's what we are saying.
NASA has said no electoral reforms, no elections.
That's why we are saying they should be, in fact, there will be no elections on 17th. And if you look at the document that you're holding by the European Observer Mission, they are making recommendations on things that we have been singing about for the past 3 years. You would remember when we were agitating for reforms at the IEBC, we were telling them that we need election results to be transmitted live by our media houses from the constituency when the constituency tallying officer or returning officer is announcing them.
Right.
Now is when the Europeans are coming around to see that. This is something that we said long time ago. The Europeans are saying that the IEBC should have a more consultative approach to issues, that they should involve stakeholders in every decision that they make. This is something we've been saying from the start. When we were challenging or petitioning the award of a tender of a printing of ballot papers to Al Ghurair, that is exactly what we are saying. We were saying, please consult with the stakeholders, carry everybody along, so that by the time you're making a decision on who's going to award the tender to print, every concern has been addressed and everybody's on board. That way we proceed to an election together. Even on the issue of the date, because we know that the Supreme Court gave a 60-day window. I mean, what difficulty it is, it doesn't impugn on your independence if you consult. It doesn't mean that your hand will be forced. We are saying, get people in a room where they can discuss these issues. Let there be clarity and openness. And in fact, clarity and openness is one of the other recommendations by the
Let me just go through some of them quickly. Improve results transmission software, network selection provision, so that 34A polling station results forms are reliably sent through KIMS, arrange for constituency tallying centers to project and display real-time the entering of data on 34B forms by ICT clerks so that all agents and observers can see exactly what is being tallied. Standardized constituency results forms used 34Bs complete with security features. This was a key thing in the petition.
In the petition, absolutely.
And take necessary measures for the consistent and accurate use by returning officers. Ensure all Form 34Bs and As are published on IEBC website promptly to allow time checking and preparation for possible petitions. Account for any updates of scans with simple stamps and original copies kept available for the portal. Let me just go through probably one more. IEBC own and be fully responsible for critical ICT results systems and information to allow controlled stakeholder access. Is this an about time? I mean, they say the elections were free and fair. I mean, have they just woken up from some...
You know, one of the things you had me saying that it's funny that now the European Union Observer Mission is coming around to see the things that we've been saying all along. And it is because they've been forced to beat a retreat from their position prior to the petition and the fact that they were actually outed and ashamed by the Supreme Court because they were too quick to make decisions on the election and its propriety and on the declaration of results, because we understand that for foreign countries, especially the EU and the US, what they put at the forefront is the stability of the country, the so-called stability of the country,
right?
So that they can be able to take care of their commercial interests in this country. So for them, a free and fair election is secondary to what they call stability, and it has been,
So they would rather you're stable with a dictator?
Exactly. That is exactly how people like Kagame have been propagated in power in Rwanda. Because for them, stability is everything.
Well, it is said that, I saw in the newspaper the other day that some American farmers got in a huge contract and...
for the construction of a dual carriageway from Mombasa to Nairobi, yeah, it's a fact.
Well, could this have any bearing?
And this is what we are telling the country, Baggy. We are saying we as Kenyans have to chart our own way. And in fact, if, and this is a very big if, there are going to be repeat elections on the 17th, we want our people to be on the lookout for these so-called observers, because most of them are Jubilee agents.
Because how are you to trust them again?
Exactly.
If somebody, what is coming out very clearly is that there were atrocities committed in this election.
Yeah.
And somebody said this election was free. In fact, they were urging the NASA candidate to concede defeat.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, how will they even operate? I'm not sure if in some parts of the country, I don't know, I'm not saying, but I don't know if in some parts of the country they'll be very welcome.
No, first of all, we shouldn't welcome people who are clearly hell-bent on subverting our democracy, subverting our will as a people. Why would you let into your house somebody who was coming to finish your family? I mean, it is only common sense that these people should now stay out. Let them not stick their noses into our affairs anymore. let's go to the ballot, if we are going to the ballot at all. Let's vote. Let Kenyans themselves pass judgment on the process, the way we pass judgment on this particular process. Let our institutions, the civil society groups, the courts, shine a light on that particular process, and if the courts and our institutions clear the process as free and fair, then we move on. We don't need anyone to come from anywhere.
Uhuru is saying his victory has been stolen by the courts. He's proposed a recount of the ballot papers. Is that anything worth considering?
First of all, if he wanted a recount, he should have filed his own petition and requested specifically, because that is an order you have to pay for as a petitioner for you to receive an order for the scrutiny of ballots. Because you know, once the ballot papers are sealed, the ballot boxes are sealed, only a court can order the opening or the breaking of the seals on the ballot boxes to do a recount. So they were a party. He was a third respondent in that particular case. If he wanted an order for a recount, all he would have done is to bring his own petition, what we call a cross petition, so that they are had together, and if an order is, if he convinces the court to get the recount, then he gets a recount. Well, but you cannot start calling for a recount in markets. That's not how you get a recount.
And if it was to happen, will that go back to Maraga?
No, it would. Of course, the scrutiny the scrutiny would happen under the auspices of the court. So it would be under the auspices of the court. The court would supervise the recount. Okay.
Somebody is saying, Odera Brian, Nasa Wow Sifuna, Irene Grail, Sifuna, where is Kuria? Well, I don't know which Kuria. I don't know which
one. I don't know where he should be. I only account for my family and my friends.
Now, Emmanuel Bikwa Sifuna, you're our future vision. Be yourself and stand principled. Now, speaking of Kuria, hate speech.
Yes.
The other day, Muthama was arrested. Moses Kuria was arrested.
Yes.
You are part of the lawyers representing Muthama.
Yes.
What exactly transpired? What are the charges? Where is he?
First of all, Baggy, we live in a ridiculous country, because the only way you can arrest somebody in Jubilee who is clearly an advocate of hate speech is if somehow you can find somebody else on the NASA side to also arrest, so that you can bring them together in court and say you're fighting hate speech on both sides of a political divide. It's ridiculous, for instance, that by the time they were arresting Muthama and Kuria, Kuria's sentiments had been going around this country for a good 2 weeks. Yet Muthama had spoken the previous day in Kajiado. So that is the first ridiculous thing. Number two, if you see the charges that the DPP has proffered against Senator Muthama, even a first-year law student will tell you can never get a conviction on such nonsensical charges.
What were the charges?
Because the charges do not disclose an offense. Senator Muthama was quoted as having said that if Uhuru feels that he is man enough, he invited him to Uhuru Park without their security, and they proposed a boxing match with everybody wearing boxing gloves.
And a vest.
Apparently, that constitutes hate speech in the eyes of our DPP. And that is why when I went to Kibra, I asked President Raila Amolo Odinga that the first person we need to get rid of...
Did you say President Raila?
Yes. The first person we need to get rid of is the Director of Public Prosecutions, Bwana Kiriako Tobiko, because he has a responsibility under the Constitution to not only protect the law, but also accused persons, to ensure that the cases that he clears to court are merited cases that can actually secure convictions. But he's just a conveyor belt of sorts, that he just passes whatever trash comes into his entry to the courts.
So what has Kuria been charged with?
Kuria has been charged with things that I cannot repeat on any media show or medium. I mean, he is... I could share the charge sheet with you. It's unpalatable. In fact, one of the hardest moments was when the court interpreter, the lady who reads out the charge for you, the court clerk, was being forced to read the things that were written on the charge sheet, and she could not believe it. You can't say those things in front of people, my brother. And this is somebody who should be in jail already, because he is the prince of hate speech in this country. But we all know that he is above the law, because he speaks for the president of the republic. He is his MP. And if people say, oh, Kuria does not speak to us or for us, why is it that every time Kuria runs for office, in fact, he's given direct nomination by the ruling party, he's given all the votes by the people of Gatundu South? This is how the people of Gatundu South talk. This is how the people of Gatundu South, including the president of the republic, think about the rest of us.
No, you cannot say that this is how the people of Gatundu South talk. I mean,
exactly.
It's just Moses Kuria.
No, it's not just him. That's what I'm saying. No, let me tell you. You see, at the point where you are casting your ballot, you are casting a ballot to endorse or to, condemn something or somebody that you do not like. Every time you cast a ballot for somebody who's corrupt, every time you cast a ballot for somebody who's the king of extrajudicial killings, there is no difference between you and him because you are the enabler. So the people of Gatundu South, I actually thought that the last time that he got into parliament, they did not have an opportunity to actually vote for him because he went in unopposed, if you remember.
Yeah, he was unopposed.
But I cannot understand why, after everything that is done to divide this country, they gave him an opportunity to go to parliament. So we can only conclude reasonably that Moses Kuria represents all the residents of Gatundu, including the president, on all the things that he says, how he feels about the rest of us, our place in this country, and whether indeed we are even human beings.
He said that, he's allegedly, let me now that you're a lawyer, let me use the word allegedly, also said that some 70,000 persons who did not vote for Uhuru should be hunted and kicked out of Kiambu in general. Is that part of the offenses?
No, that is not even part of the charge. That is why we are saying the office of a DPP is ridiculous. We need a new director of public prosecutions who knows what he's doing. Somebody like Ole Kaparo, I think he's past his sell by date. He needs to go somewhere and rest. He is not helpful at all as a chairman of the NCIC. One time we were with him on a show and I said these things and he was very upset. But the truth of the matter is that he's a toothless dog. Even when you look at him, he looks beat and tired. That the whole country can be crying for a week about Moses Kuria, and when he goes to the media, he says he's not aware. Where does he live?
Wow. Let me just go through some quick comments before we get to the next bit of this. Yula Onesh. Hey, what a name. I totally agree with you, Sifuna. Well, you said many things. I don't know if he agrees with you in entirety or in some bits of pieces. Oh, come on. You can't be saying this. Vayon Umutesi. No. I think Sifuna is taken, so I'll not go. I'll not go to that comment. Vincent Erambo. Gunjiri is just but a barking dog. There must be the owner somewhere. So tell me, was Moses Kuria released?
Yeah, he was released on cash bail of 300,000 shillings.
Of 300,000. Yes. Well, so there'll be hearings and hopefully
Absolutely.
he'll be prosecuted. In the process, Muthama had earlier been denied bail. Was that an infringement of his basic rights?
Well, first of all, we all know that police have the capacity or authority to actually release you on bond. Once they arrest you, you don't need to spend a single night in the police cells. But what these people have perfected, they know for a fact that, for instance, the charges against Muthama, they will never be able to secure a conviction out of them. So what they have been doing is that they have been relying on what we call pre-trial detention to quote-unquote, teach lessons to politicians. You remember they were very happy the last time when they arrested a bunch of our politicians.
The famous Pangani 6.
Yes. And they ensured that they did not get bail immediately. They claimed to be requiring some 7 days to continue with investigations. And they were very happy. And I remember even the charges against people like Florence Mutua, Honorable Florence Mutua of Busia, were so ridiculous that if I were the DPP, I would actually ban all my law certificates. Because how do you bring such charges in a court of law? And they were dropped very silently. And you see our media, all the media does is to show up on the day of arraignment so that they can satiate this public desire to see action being taken against these people. But they never follow through the trial to see that actually the level of allegations are so low that it's very trivial that nobody will ever secure a conviction. In fact, it's the same thing with this Ngunjiri Wambugu petition. I would like members of the media to follow until the day of the hearing of that petition, and I hope the JSC actually grants Mujiri Wambugu his wish, and he's put there on live TV to say the things that he's saying in that petition and show us what evidence he has when he talks about the Chief Justice having a grand conspiracy to overturn or you know, overthrow a legally elected government.
Caleb Nyambori says, kudos to Sifuna. I wish we could have more courageous guys like you. Forward ever, backward never. Watching live from New Jersey, USA. My fans now.
Thank you.
Esther Pasaris.
Yes.
I listened to a very passionate audio posted by her on WhatsApp.
Absolutely.
She had a nasty experience in Pangani police station. What exactly happened? I mean, she claims she was assaulted, manhandled by a police officer, whom in that audio is being said that could be the guy who assassinated Msando. I mean, this is...
I mean, I spoke to Esther, and after I received that audio, and she was very, very traumatized about the things that she went through. But I think what really broke her heart is the fact that she came face to face with the levels of impunity in this country, that this assault on an honorable member of parliament elected by people of Nairobi, over 800,000 votes, could actually be assaulted in the precincts of a police station where essentially people
where
should
you're
feel very
supposed to be
safe.
safest, yes.
Absolutely. And the fact that when she tried to make the report, that nobody within Pangani police station was willing to actually accept to record, you know, her statement. I mean,
so she left Pangani police station without recording a complaint.
Exactly, because nobody would take down the complaint. That is the country that we live in today, Baggy. That is the level of impunity that we see.
And you know, what I asked myself, Sifuna, is,
absolutely,
this is Esther Pasaris,
yes,
a women rep. How about an ordinary girl?
Exactly.
In Madare,
exactly.
Mlabakubwa,
That is why
an ordinary young guy, son of nobody. I mean, what will happen to you?
That is why we need for all of us to actually stand up and speak up. I mean, when you see people commenting there and saying, oh, bravery, we like bravery, there is nothing like bravery, Baggy. You see, for me, I actually say that if you are born with a sense of right and wrong as a human being,
yes,
you have no option but to fight every single injustice whenever you see it, because you don't have a choice on what injustices to fight and which ones not to fight. At the end of the day, if you stay silent, the monster will eat you first. So if it can happen to Esther Pasaris, it can happen to any person in this country, and we have to speak out and say, this is not right. Our voices might be muffled every time we do that, but we must keep doing it.
You know, what is most chilling is that somebody within our police force can be said to have committed such atrocities against Msando. He's in the public payroll. I mean, that audio says that Mheshimiwa, former MP for Starehe Commander, called her and actually told her that those guys can do worse things. I mean, she said they can do things that I can also not say.
But that's the country we live in. I am surprised.
So do we have a police force and do we have a militia that just takes out people?
I am surprised, Baggy, that you express surprise. But you see, we are used to this kind of thing. I mean, forget even that policeman. We have a president and a deputy who are actually accused of very serious crimes against the people of the Republic of Kenya. But they are on the public payroll. They speak to us like children, contemptuously, the way that they want. They are insulting our institutions, our judges everywhere. That is why when you hear Raila saying that the fish starts rotting from the head, this is exactly what it means, that even the institution of a presidency is rotten. So it cascades all the way down to the lowest civil servant in this country. All of them are like that. But for us as a people, we have to aspire for a nation that actually people are proud of. And that is why we're saying, I have a favorite TV show, and there's one character who says that the enemy always wins, but we must keep fighting him. And that's all he knows.
Wow. Just as we are wrapping up, political realignments.
Yes.
And Hassan Omar.
Yes.
Just quit as the SG of Wiper. I mean, he has said some not so very nice things.
Yes.
You know, and there have been delegations going to State House.
Yes.
I mean, what's your take on... I think Hassan Omar also belongs to the learned profession, so as to put it. Have you had a chat with him? What's going on?
First, you know, me and Hassan Omar are not necessarily great friends or friends at all.
Oh,
but
really?
what I know from
didn't know that.
my limited interaction with him is that Hassan Omar is very petty. I remember,
Really?
yeah, I will give you an example. There was a time during the discussions regarding who our flag bearer for NASA would be. And I remember that particular point, everybody from each of the constituent parties was saying some pretty hard stuff to the other. So I, of course, being the shadow Secretary General for ODM, I also added...
Shadow?
Yes. Or de facto Secretary General for ODM. I also added my voice to the debate and said, Hassan Omar is becoming an impediment to the unity of a coalition. And the things that he is saying, you know, why not for the fact that we know he is not an authority in Wiper, we would actually take them seriously. And this was almost a year and a half ago. We met in South Coast recently. And the guy reminded me about that Facebook post that I made, which told me that this is somebody who keeps a lot of, you know, small issues. He takes them to heart very easily. So even when you see the statement that he put out, I mean, it is okay for you to be upset to have lost the election. But by most accounts, everybody in this republic, when he announced that he was going for governor, everybody said it was not going to be possible for him to beat Joe. Right. I mean, even little children knew that he was not going to beat Joe.
I mean, that level of bile.
Exactly.
I mean,
why would
was he really in NASA before, or it was...
No, I mean, I know that his heart is in a good place. He's a champion of human rights in this country. And if he believes in the things that he's been saying over the past years, his heart is in a good place. But he has taken the beating that he received in the election a bit too personally. And he's trying to look at everybody to blame, oh, he did not receive the kind of support that he needed from Kalonzo. I mean, many of us who are in this contest, and we know that the principals had a lot on their hands. Yeah, the principals are not going to fly to Mombasa to pull you up, then come to Nairobi to pull Sifuna up, and also at the same time look for their own votes. At some level, you have to look inward and look at the mirror and say, for instance, for me, I had all the support that I needed from ODM. I had all the support that I needed from the party leader.
So what else was his party leader supposed to do?
That's exactly what I'm wondering. I can't go around blaming the party or the party leader for deficiencies in my campaign, for instance. I mean, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, and that is the only way you can have personal growth and improvement, if you are ready to actually undertake a genuine self-assessment.
Honorable Sifuna, Josie Getty Ben is asking, what's going to happen if we don't have an election within the specified 60 days? Is it going to be Nusum Kate?
Well, first off, we have made it very clear that we as the opposition are not interested at all in sharing power with people who we consider to be, you know, unworthy. We are not going to be able to be in any meaningful government. So
what happens?
That's what I'm telling you. 60 days,
there is no election. And I heard somebody say that Uhuru's tenure ended on the 8th. He's now a temporary...
Yes, absolutely.
Somebody used the word squatter. And on the specified date of election, now his tenure completely ends. So what happens?
Well, Kenya will go on. I am sure that...
Who will be in charge?
That's what I'm saying. We as the people of this republic will find a way to ensure that we have, even if it is a caretaker government in place, for us to actually organize ourselves to be able to conduct credible elections in this country. Somebody's asking,
are you planning to swear in Raila on that date?
Well, it's possible. I mean, anything is possible if the people of this country mandate Raila as their leader, he will be sworn in. No, because you see, swearing in is a legal process, and it can only come out of a legal process.
Well, these are weighty issues, and perhaps you're used to legal matters. Right? Yes. You're saying it can happen on the 17th.
It can happen. I mean, there is nothing under this sun that cannot happen, Baggy. You need to understand what the Constitution means under Article 2 when it says that the people of this republic can exercise their sovereignty directly. You need to understand that what the IEBC does is exercising sovereignty on our behalf. All those things, even the judges, they exercise their authority on our behalf. But the Constitution has given us a direct route under Article 2 to do it ourselves.
Wow. Well, let's have a look at one clip. This is supposedly a delegation that went for the meeting in Nakuru, the delegation from Kisii. And when they left, I'm not sure. It was like they were from a NASA meeting. Let's have that clip.
Jamani, tumekaa kutoka asubuhi. Saa 10:12. Tunateseka na hii maisha. Uhuru tunakuuliza namna hii. Hii pesa yenye tumekula na tunaacha watoto wazee wetu tunakula nini jamani? Na hii ndio tunakula. Wote tumeacha kazi yetu na tunakuja kulipa.
I mean, and Ogaro Sam is saying Uhuru yesterday hosted Kisii in Nakuru State House, not knowing he can't buy us with 1,000 bob. Hiyo pesa nilitoa 10% nikanunua tikiti ya kuenda Canaan. I mean, Sifuna, these delegations.
Yeah.
I mean, what do people go to do there? I mean, this.
You see, Baggy, unfortunately for Uhuru, is his mindset is stuck in the Moi era, when Moi would organize such delegations to have people from different areas to go and pay homage. And I personally postulate that the reason why he does these things is to lay the background for when fake results are actually projected and they say, oh, you can see Kisii has given us 20% because we met their leaders yesterday. But as you can see from that clip, none of those people, because you see, at the end of the day, having lived under this regime of Jubilee, where we have seen the highest levels of corruption, there is high unemployment, there is all sorts of evil in this country. It is impossible for you to convince somebody, say from Kisii, to change their mind and vote for you just because you gave them 1,000 shillings. It's ridiculous.
What I have to ask is, nurses have been on strike for the longest
Absolutely.
time.
And they're looking for this same money.
Exactly. Salaries of members of parliament and MCAs have been reduced the other day on the pretext that we don't have money and our wage bill is too high. Teachers were told categorically, can't pay, won't pay. So where is this money coming from?
It is a process of corruption. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that it is a process of corruption, because all these people, are public servants and we know how much they earn. It is not possible for you to be entertaining delegations from all the
we had another delegation from Ukambani the other day.
And some Tumbocrats from Western Kenya led by Ababu Namwamba was there as well.
Really?
And for them, I think the evaluation that they were given is accurate, because somebody like Ababu Namwamba, you can't give him more than 3,500 shillings. He's wasting money.
How many votes did Ababu Namwamba get?
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
The votes that I received in one ward in Kibera, for instance, are double the number of votes that...
no, how many?
If I were to just take Lainisaba ward in Kibera alone, is more votes than what Ababu received in his constituency in Budalangi. And then somebody like that is supposed to speak for Luyas. It's ridiculous. In fact, Baggy, if you take the total number of votes that all those people who call themselves Luya leaders who went to State House received, starting from Lusaka, and his 180,000 votes, to Namwamba with his sijui kama ni 7,000 votes, if you add all of them together, they don't even reach what Sifuna received. So until Sifuna speaks, you will not be able to say that Luya leaders are now supporting Jubilee.
Until
Sifuna speaks. How can somebody who has votes that I got less than one vote, this is a babu, how can he speak for Luyas?
Somebody is saying, I've seen a poster going around, Mbeho Mbeho.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Mbeho Mbeho is basically, kwa Kiswahili loose translated, nipeko. Hiyo siasa ya kuomba chakula, kuomba pesa. ati ndio unakuja kila saa kuweka tumbo mbele. Ndio inaitwa mbeho mbeho kwa Kiluya.
Somebody said here that, well, this mbeho mbeho thing appears to be with men. We have not seen any prominent woman in this mbeho mbeho business.
Yes.
Well, still, while we are at that, the DP was supposedly in Vihiga. And I hear he was not allowed to get out of the car. There were chants of NASA and all that. Let's just have a look at that clip, and then we come back and comment on it. So that was in Vihiga. So it appears these visits, I mean, do they have any impact? I thought that because of the recent delegations from Mulembe Nation,
this is the exact point that I was making, Baggy. That those so-called Luya leaders that you saw going to State House, including Akaranga, that is Akaranga's village. So they came to Nairobi to lie to the DP that the people of Vihiga would actually support Jubilee. It's not possible. That is the stronghold of Musalia Mudavadi, and he has been able to convince the people of Western Kenya that their interests are best served within NASA. We are not going to forget all the atrocities that this government has committed on our people, just because some few guys took their mbeho politics to State House. I mean, you can see my point being demonstrated in real time.
Right.
That the people of Vihiga will not accept somebody like William Ruto there.
Well, somebody is saying, Hassan, no election for Kenya. IEBC is out of order. Sucking up to Jubilee or taking orders from Jubilee is not acceptable. Winfred Imadio. Maraga is a man of God who was at the right place in the right time. He did his job with no fear of Uhuru, only God, and put Jubilee to shame. It will be the same on 17th of October. If you're Maraga, shouldn't you be afraid? I mean, the commander-in-chief is not saying some very nice things about you. The other day we heard that Chebukati's security was withdrawn.
You see, I mean, as somebody has put it, Maraga is a man of God. And if you're a man of God, you're actually socialized to believe that the only entity you need to be afraid of is God. I mean, death is certain. I've said this before. We are all going to die at some point. Even those people who think they are very powerful now will be lowered into their graves at some point. So we are not, we know that this is something that will come. Somebody like Maraga, because of his steadfast belief in God, I'm sure he only fears God.
Well, I mean, Kenyans appear to be seeing that through. But I just want to ask another thing. There were so many peace messages prior to the election. I mean, it was all over. It was in our face. Peace, peace, peace. Now that such attacks are being thrown at very senior persons in very serious public institutions, it has just died down. The church is quiet. I mean, there's no peace messages. Again, was this part of the conspiracy?
Because throughout our election cycles, we know that peace message is part of the conditioning. It is what it is what comes before the messages of conceding an election. It lays the ground for you to be told concede.
Prepares you psychologically.
Absolutely. It's they try to project this image that somehow, if you are disputing the outcome of an election, then you are not peaceful and that you're calling for violence. But that is not necessarily, that is not necessarily true. I mean, the fact that you are not accepting the results of an election does not mean you're calling for violence or that you are not being peaceful. So all of those guys, because you only see them prior to the elections, it is what we call the peace industry in our elections. And it is always led by those so-called church leaders who are very quiet right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean,
you know, because they have nothing to say.
When such attacks are being made on the Chief Justice,
Me,
who is likely to perhaps sit on another petition?
Even forget the things that they are being said to the Chief Justice. You yourself referred to allegations that were attributed to, you know, Moses Kuria.
Yes.
What is the difference between me as Sifuna saying I do not accept the results of the Nairobi Senate election vis-a-vis peace, and somebody saying we will find the 80,000 people in Nairobi who voted for X and Y and remove them from here? Who is the greatest threat to peace?
Of course, that is it.
And those are the people that they wine and dine with every day. So these peace ambassadors are not genuine, which is why we rejected them. Kenyans rejected them during the campaign period and told them that peace is an automatic product of a credible, fair election. So what you should be telling us is that we want a free and fair election. And then the natural consequence thereof is that there will be peace.
Is that there will be
Absolutely.
Peace. Dan Santo Classic. Where? This is an educationally captivating discussion. Why not declare this a national news channel? Well, valid suggestion.
It is coming.
Yeah, and City Hassan is saying, is saying, can an international body conduct this election? I mean, can the UN come in if IEBC cannot? Is that a possibility?
At the end of the day, the problem is not the institution of the IEBC. It is the people in IEBC. And we have made it very clear that Chebukati or even Chiloba is not IEBC. Because you know that there was an IEBC before Chiloba became the CEO. We are saying that Muhati, who is the director of ICT, is not the IEBC. The IEBC is a commission with perpetual succession that does not depend on who is there to exist. So we know that under our constitution, the IEBC is the body to conduct elections. But it doesn't say it has to be Chiloba as the CEO. So we are saying because the Supreme Court has passed an indictment on you on how you conducted this previous election, please, we as a country would like to move on. We want to give people who are credible, people of integrity, an opportunity to actually get the election in this country right. That's why we are saying Chiloba and Mohati and all the other, schemers and planners need to go. And the IEBC will remain even when Chiloba is not there. You should not forget these people are also human beings. You could just very well fall dead today. That doesn't mean the IEBC stops existing. So they need to dissuade from this notion that they are the IEBC. They are not the IEBC.
Al Ghurair, it's not going away. I mean, can there be a new procurement process in terms of getting a new person to do the printing?
It can be done.
Within time.
It can be done. We have all the time. What we are lacking is actually will from the IEBC to consult, which is what we have been saying, which is what the observer missions are saying, that we need stakeholder participation and consultation, and we can be able to agree on a different supplier, because you saw the comedy of errors that Al Ghurair purportedly played on us.
Yeah, I hear those things.
Yeah, even the standardization features. Yes, exactly. So how would you return the job to them if at all?
But it's being said they already have the contract.
That's what I'm saying. Contracts can be broken. I am a lawyer myself. People get out of contracts. Besides, that 3-year contract can stand, and you can actually get another contract to do other things. These are special circumstances.
Very well. As we are wrapping up, Halima Ali, I'm watching from Lamu. Bernard Mishira, Sifuna, my senator, I voted for you.
Thank you, Sana.
What computers did along the way gave me a different senator. Still baffles me. Anyway, soldier on, bro. You're brilliant.
Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Sifuna, your closing remarks.
My closing remarks, Kenyans should not despair. Nobody should intimidate you. You shouldn't feel afraid. This is your country just as much as it is any other person's. We will get this country right at some point. That all the things that those who have gone before us, who have come before us, have always wanted to see for a country that is actually a democracy in the real sense, that there is freedom of expressions and all those other freedoms. We will get there at some point. So Kenyans should not give up.
Thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Senator, for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us on Opinion 2017. We are now going live to Okoa, Kenya, where the NASA principals are issuing a press conference. Thank you and goodbye.